June 26, 2013 meeting of the Environmental and Public Works Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Ansello? Here. Mr. Antelli is excused. Mr. Colby? Here. Chairman Daniele?
Here.
Mr. Haney? Here. Mr. Wilcox? Here. Mr. Yolovich? Here. President Adair?
Here. Is there anyone signed up for the public forum today?
There is not.
Is there anyone present who did not sign up who would like to address the committee at this time? No? I thought you were raising your hand. You sure? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. You have the May 22nd minutes of the Environmental and Public Works Committee before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of day. At this time, we have Mike Sowers with us, who former mayor of Scottsville, and he will be doing a presentation on the Recycling Advisory Committee as it pertains to their annual report. Mr. You're welcome.
I wasn't sure if the committee members had copies of our annual report. And
I'll pass them out.
You can read it from here.
I'm just going to be going through the report and talking about some of the upcoming projects that we have. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Eco Park is the #1 thing that we've worked on over the last couple of years. I think you're all aware of how successful that's been. It's the only one of its kind in the country right now, and we're very proud of that, and the county should be as well. Upcoming would be to really promote the Eco Park to all the residents so it's accepted a little bit more widely. The promotion to the residents is really about not only using the Eco Park, but all the resources the county has and all the different towns and villages have for recycling. Single stream recycling was approved this year. Waste management is going to be taking over the recycling center. We're looking forward to working with waste management. Part of our upcoming task is to work with the haulers and all the different communities that will be transferring to the single stream process. Educating everybody to how to actually work with the single stream process is part of our goal. One of the reasons that we pushed for this was that it's been proven pretty much countrywide that recycling rates go up about 25% when you go to a single stream process. So we're looking forward to that and the continuation of that. This coming year, we're going to have to revise the reuse and recycling law. This was put into effect about 20 years ago when the county first started recycling, and we've since then included plastics 1 through 7s, pots and pans, and now we have the single stream recycling. So we'll be working with Russ Ruskowski and Mike Garland over the next year, and hopefully by this time next year we'll have a new recycling law to submit to the county legislature. Campus recycling is part of our program. We work with residents and members from RIT, U of R, and Monroe Community College. And one of the things we'd like to do over the next coming year is have an ad hoc committee member from the colleges. This would not only engage the students, but bring a lot of vitality and new ideas to the recycling committee. So we're looking to do that. We've been recognizing the invaluable assistance that we've gotten from nonprofit groups, Volunteers of America, Child Care Council, ABV Goodwill, and Salvation Army. And lastly, we've been working with Food Link and Epiphagy. They provide waste collection to upcycle organic waste to produce ethanol fuel, animal feed, and organic fertilizer, dramatically reducing disposal-related costs and carbon emissions to customers in the food beverage industry. And that pretty much concludes my report. If there are any questions on what's happened over the past year or upcoming projects, I'd be glad to entertain those now.
Yes, Legislator Haney.
Thank you, and thank you very much for coming. Just a quick question. On your point 5, it says ABVI Goodwill recycling 4.3 million pounds of clothing every year. Does that mean that Goodwill disposed of 4.3 million pounds of clothing?
Well, not necessarily.
Which way is it going?
Well, there's a number of ways that they use the clothing that's donated. Obviously, they have stores. They have a program to help people getting back on their feet with the interviewing process, and they provide clothing for that. But any clothing they can't use, they shred into rags, and it goes to third world countries. They sell it that way.
So what this means is that 4.3 million pounds of clothing that people thought they were giving for reuse was unusable, and they ended up...
No, it absolutely did get reused, and it was kept out of the landfill.
That's 4.3 that's kept out of the landfill.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry?
That's 4.3 million pounds that were kept out of the landfill.
Oh, so this includes what they resell?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Okay.
Sowers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Presentation. The next item on the agenda is new business.
Referral 13-199.
Moved by
authorize-
Legislator Ansello, seconded by Legislator Colby. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Could someone just give a brief description of what a parking revenue system is? Or what it entails or encompasses or something?
Through the chair, Mike Giardino, Director of Aviation. The parking revenue system is our point of sale system, as well as tracking and accounting for parking revenue, which is approximately $10 million a year of revenue of non-airline revenue to the airport.
Do we really need to spend $45,000 to design the system? I mean, aren't these packaged products that, I mean, there might be 10 companies in the business and they have 10 packages, and we have to decide which one of the 10 we want? I mean, does it really require $45,000 to design it?
Through the chair.
Through the chair?
Through the chair, it is, in our estimation, the answer is yes. And although parking and airport business would be thought to be the same in every place, we do have a different type of lot, different access points, different roads, different size, as well as different pricing. So these things are, although it would seem that these things are standard throughout the industry, they are not. This is unique to our airport and how it was designed.
But through the chair, I mean, you're talking about stuff that gets programmed into a computer, the rates and the fee structure, et cetera. I mean, the machines and everything.
Legislator Haney, if I could, I think there's also a lot of electrical design and communication design that goes into it, having some experience myself.
Through the chair, there is a great deal of hardware, weather dependent, of course, as well as, like I said, different access points, the garage points that could be higher, lower. There's a significant amount of engineering that would go into this to make it last as long as we would want it to last, as well as moving hardware to include the computer system that runs it from its current location into the terminal building where it should be, or so that airport staff would be in control and have access to it.
Through the chair, where is it now?
Through the chair, those controls and those computers are in what we what we call the red lot, which is across Brooks Avenue, and in the red lot area that we currently lease. It's directly across from the airport on Brooks Avenue.
So they're currently controlled through the chair by the entity that has the parking lease?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Oh. And you're going to correct that now and have them under the county's control?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Well,
But it is in the county's control, but the current physical location of those servers is not in the ideal location.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Are there any other matters to come before the committee this evening? Legislator Wilcox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thought this might be a great time to bring up the hydrofracking wastewater referral, which was referred to administration quite some time ago. Do we have any update through you, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a formal report. I'd be glad to provide something along the lines of a more formal response, but we had been waiting and are still waiting for the state to complete its reviews of this matter. I don't believe all of those reviews that have been ordered by the governor have been completed at this point, but I'd be glad to look into it.
Okay. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I guess I wasn't clear that we were actually waiting. We were referring this to the administration and waiting for the state to take action. I thought we were waiting for the administration to report back to us sort of their thoughts, their findings on the referral on the legislation. Did I misunderstand our original intent in referring it to the administration?
I won't speculate on what the intent was of this committee, but I can tell you that through the chair, we believe that having the benefit of the state's review of this matter in a uniform matter, which would apply to the entire state, and the information that and the analysis that might be provided by the state would be beneficial into our decision-making process.
So, through you, Mr. Chairman, so then is it safe to say that until the state actually comes out with a formal position, the county would not accept hydrofracking wastewater or any other hydrofracking-related waste in the county?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not in a position to answer that question this evening, but I'd be glad to get back to the committee on that.
Okay, because I just thought that's what I just heard you say was that, you know, since we're waiting for the state to give a report back on what they intend to do, that we would not take any action. I assume in not taking any action, that also means we would not be accepting any waste whatsoever while the state is still contemplating what to do. So that's not a correct understanding.
That is correct. I am not making a statement one way or the other. I would prefer to have the benefit of looking into this matter and reporting back to the committee.
Okay. Through you, Mr. Chairman, might we ask when we would expect a report back from the administration? Now, I think it's been months, several months, maybe half a year, maybe longer.
Mr. Chairman, I could certainly provide an update to the committee at the next meeting of this body.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other matters to come before this committee? There being none, the June 26, 2013 meeting of the Environmental and Public Works Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting will be July 31st at 5 p.m.